should say. Welcome again for the meeting of Wednesday, May 13th, 2020. I will call the meeting to order at 5:15 p.m. On our end, we're going to rise and join the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'll start up.
I, of the United States of America, to the Republic for the state,
I'll remind the legislators to put your phones on mute. It helps with the reception on this end and the feedback. So if you could all check, make sure you're on mute. We would appreciate that. Mr. Zerlo, would you please conduct a roll call? Mr. Castine.
I'm present.
Mr. Conroy. Here. Mr. Hall. Here. Mr. Henry. Here. Mr. McGill. Here. Mr. Perrier. Here. Mr. Pollacker. Here. Mr. Rosenquist. So we'll await the arrival of Mr. Rosenquist. Mr. Timmons. Here. Ms. Waldron.
Here.
Okay. You going to call Chris? I'm going to text. Okay. We're going to continue. He can join us. For the chairman's report, I'd first like to welcome our new appointed legislator, Pat McGill. I know you're all very well aware of Pat. He's a former county attorney and a former judge here, now retired. He is volunteered, and we appreciate it very much that he did so to step forward and to help out Area 8. He will be with us until the November election, and so I'd just like to thank Pat publicly for doing this. Welcome aboard, Pat, and we appreciate you being here. All right. I'd like to take a bit of time to bring you up to date on where we're at going forward. I think we need to. Oh, I got to approve the minutes. What would I do without you? Thanks very much, Mike. Before I do that, I'd like to. All the legislators have received a copy of the stenographer's minutes of the April 22nd, 2020 regular session. If there are no additions, deletions, or corrections, I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented. May I have a motion?
Move.
I have a second. Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Carried. Did you win chairman's report?
Nothing, no. Keep going, sir.
All right, let me know when I can. Our meeting format will not be having a public comment this afternoon. However, members of the public are welcome to express their concerns or comments by emailing us at legislature@clintoncountygov.com. That's legislature@clintoncountygov.com.
That's normal that you want to do it early.
Normal for
Your report.
okay. Thank you.
The point of order. Do we install Mr. McGill at one point? When do we install Mr. McGill?
I apologize. Yes, Mr. McGill took his oath of office Monday morning. So he is duly appointed as a member of the legislature at this point. Yes, I
Okay.
apologize. I should have started with that.
Okay, thank you.
We will now go to the committee reports. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, all committee meetings have been canceled until further notice. Although we hope to begin back soon, each legislator chairs one of the 10 standing committees, and I will call on the chairperson of each committee in alphabetical order by committee, starting with Buildings and Grounds, Mr. Perrier.
Thank you, Mr. Mr. Chairman. As Chairperson Henry reported, standing committee meetings have been canceled until further notice. Building and ground staff is sanitizing the government center complex, emergency services, the Department of Social Services, mental health, addiction services, and the satellite of Clinton Community College. Superintendent Jim Cleveland has been working with Ryan Davies and Amanda Finkel of the Environmental Health Department to plan the reopening of the county departments and applying social distance strategies to ensure the safe opening of the county business. Building and ground staff have been installing plexiglass separators at desks and counters where 6-foot distances is not possible. End of report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Children and Family Services.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Children and Family Services, the Department of Social Services is serving approximately 50 clients a day through the line. Child Protective Services is investigating 6 to 8 new child neglect or abuse reports per day, and they are still conducting home visits and providing services to our at-risk families. New York authorized a third emergency need benefit, which the department is dealing with. The Department of Social Services furloughed 63 employees, but they are able to maintain services due to the significant amount of federal and state waivers that have been implemented due to COVID-19 pandemic. The Department of Social Services is fully operational, and all benefits services are being provided to residents of Clinton County. The Children and Family Services Committee was polled on Resolution 284 through 285. End of report.
Legislators, just a quick reminder, if you could look down and see if your phone's on mute and you're not talking, that'd be great. Thank you.
Economic Development, County Operations, Legislator Rosenquist. Chris? You're on mute, Chris, I think.
Yep, I got it. Thank you so much. I apologize. The Economic Development County Operations Committee meeting, the local assessors of the Real Property Office are currently holding informal telephone hearings with property owners to discuss their new assessments. They are certainly doing their best to make sure that every property owner gets a chance to speak with their local assessor. And as we saw most recently in some of the outside towns and villages, there were some concern expressed about the increased assessments. The Economic Development County Operations Committee meeting was pulled on resolutions 287 through 291 and report.
Thank you very much. Finance, Legislator Timmons.
Yes, all legislators received copies of sales tax information last week. These taxes were almost exclusively pre-COVID-19 and are not reflective of the current situation. May's sales tax figures will be provided in June, and this will be our first indication of things to come. But it won't be until we receive June's numbers in July before we have our first receivables that were generated mostly during the COVID-19 pandemic. July's sales tax payment, which will be reported in August, will include some pre-COVID-19 receipts. End of report.
Thank you very much. Health, Legislator Waldron.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the Health Committee was pulled on resolutions 292 through 296. John Canosa, the Director of Public Health, and his team continue to lead in the response to the COVID-19 pandemic. End of report.
Madam Chair, Mr. Canosa is here at your request to provide a statistical update to the legislature.
I apologize. I'm on my phone. I didn't see you, John. Please update us. You're doing an awesome job.
Thank you, Patty. Much appreciated. As far as the statistical update, I'll give you our numbers for today. No new cases today. I'm happy to say that. I'm always happy to say that. We have 79, we're sitting on 79 total confirmed positive cases. Of those 79, a good number here is 72 of them have recovered. Total tested today has been 1,182. Testing has increased quite a bit in the last 2 weeks. We're happy about that. Probable cases, we have 42. A number of them have not been tested, but of those 42 over the last 2.5 months, 39 have recovered. So we are sitting right now on 6 active cases. The public should be congratulated, as I often do, telling them that they are doing a very good job with regard to social distancing, staying home more than they normally do, and minimizing the infection rate of COVID. So our focus lately has been on increasing testing with the hospital and our other partners. Hudson Headwaters trying to get more testing done in our community, in our county specifically, so that we can help the region have the best numbers possible. And as all of you know, we are at that and above that criterion number right now. I believe it's 419 per day we're required as a region to put out. So we're doing quite well. A lot of work has been done with CVPH, as well as some with our county nursing home. We've had great meetings with CVPH, thanks to Eric Day, Mike Serlo, and Dr. Rietzema at CVPH, Sean Rogers, and Mike Cahoon have also helped us a lot. Communication with that has been ongoing, working out very well. Eric Day is also working on an off-site testing site. So we're ramping up when the time comes for CVPH to shut down their on-site tent facility, and we'll be able to ramp up to do that, basically taking the place of that. So in other news, we've been working very closely with our nursing home just recently, consistent with the latest executive order from the governor, for them to start testing their staff on-site twice a week, in addition to their residents. CCHD will be working with the nursing homes in our area to get their residents tested. Of course, the whole thing comes down to obtaining more and more and more test kits. Most been working, doing a lot of work with schools. As you know, school graduations are coming up, and some of them are, asking myself, because they have no one to talk to at the state, what can they do? Right now, we have one solid plan, I believe, that fits the a mass gathering minimization, not having mass gatherings, social gatherings, and that is a potential car parade at the Clinton County Fairgrounds by the Peru Central School District. That's the best plan I've heard so far. Nobody gets out of the car except the kid to get his diploma. Parents take a picture, everybody gets back in the car and goes home. So that's the best plan we've got to date that fits and is compliant with the executive order from the governor. Other than that, I really, hats up, we had a great press conference today with Gary Douglas and Aaron Strite talking. Gary was spot on, perfect as always. He loved that. Aaron Strite was great, following him, talking about where we are now, where we got to go, and that we really need to maintain our vigilance and being on guard throughout this whole process. We're just getting started with opening things. We need to keep that in mind and remember all the sacrifice, pain, and suffering we've been through. Closing out, Ryan Davies from Environmental Health with Amanda Finkel, our safety officer and principal sanitarian for this ICS structure that we're in now, are working on a Zoom training for tomorrow. Probably be about 40, 45 minutes long with PowerPoint slides. He's going to record it so that it can be re-seen again, re-watched again. But it's tailored to not only county department heads, but also town, village, city officials that want to know little bits and pieces of how they need to reopen. Let's face it, we all know at least 50% of the drill by now. Wear a mask, 6-foot separation, maintain from people, wash your hands a lot, clean your desk counter. But there's a little bit more to that, and Ryan's going to provide that tomorrow with Amanda. And as I mentioned, Gary Douglas offering great safety trainings from the North Country Chamber of Commerce, virtual trainings being done online from his place. So he's doing great. So things are really starting to come together. It's really good, but we have a long way to go. We're just getting started. So any questions?
Your enemy, John?
That's very good, Mike. Complacency is our enemy. We can't let up. I keep saying out loud, if I see anybody hugging out there, I'm going to come after them. I don't want to see that. We cannot let up. We have to be tough on this. And reopening is going to be a slow process. Our society is not accustomed to that. We want things boom, boom, boom done now. This is not going to work that way. It must go easy, slow. We're going to be watching for hot spots out there and trying to tamper them down real quickly. So, anything else, Mike? Mike always comes up with something.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Patty.
Hey,
next?
yeah, Tom, can I ask you a quick question?
Yes, ma'am, you may.
Thank you. It sounds encouraging if you have increased testing and still less positives.
You betcha. That is a solid number assessment right there. The testing is going up, yet we're only getting 0, 1, or 2 every day. That's the key number I hang my hat on right there. And we're in a good position right now. As I mentioned, we only have, I believe, 6 active cases right now. That's another good thing. People, the majority of our cases from this get-go of this incident emergency have recovered. That's another good thing, too. So we're looking pretty good on that. But complacency, as Mike said, is our enemy. We can't let up. Got to keep it going.
Only testing doctor referrals.
Thank you.
Doctor referrals are being tested currently, yes. However, we're going to squeak a little bit outside the CDC box right now, which is only testing of symptomatic or suspect symptomatic people. We're now going to start testing. Part of our ramping up to get our numbers up there and keep them up there is we're looking at our emergency service providers, police, firemen, EMTs, and other essential workers that have been working throughout this whole thing. Some DSS staff, we're trying to get them tested as soon as we can. City police, city fire, we're ramping those people up into the testing. Eric Day is putting together daily hit lists of people that we're going to send over to CVPH, 30 people a day, give or take, and get those people tested. Not only we get the people, we're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Get those people tested, but we're also keeping our numbers up there.
To answer Rodney's question, there's a mechanism in place that there will be medical professionals on site to at that point, comply with the physician's orders.
Thank you.
Anything else for John? Thank you, John, very much.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, everybody.
Next committee, Human Services, Legislator Conroy.
Yes, the Office for the Aging staff are primarily assisting clients via telephone as they work with the population most vulnerable to COVID-19. On occasion, a client stops to pick up or drop off needed documents. The Office for the Aging has been working with the Office for Emergency Services to distribute face masks and hand sanitizer to older adults. The Human Services Committee was polled on resolution 297 through 299. End of report.
So, Mr. Chairman, those resolutions, 297 through 299, are actually increases in certain aging program budgets. That was a result of the CARES Act. That money is starting to flow through to specific Office for the Aging programs. So that's what those resolutions are.
Thank you very much, Simon. I will report out for Personnel Committee. The Personnel Committee was polled on resolutions number 300 through 306, which appear on tonight's agenda. The department continues to evaluate the vacant position requests and how they directly relate to the COVID-19 pandemic and the safety of the community. That's the end of the personnel report. Do you have anything to add to that, Michael?
No, other than the first resolution on there, I'll be happy to speak to when we get the resolution that was approved by the personnel.
Yes. Next committee, Chair of Plattsburgh International Airport, Legislator Hall.
Yes, all 3 airlines are operating on a reduced schedule. Allegiant has 2 or 3 flights a week. SkyWest is 1 flight per day. Spirit is 3 flights a week. The bad situation there is the DOT has told these airlines they have until the 18th of this month to come up with a new plan if they want to change any flights or anything. And sad to say, but we believe they're going to change some more flights. Airport staff has added plexiglass to all the airline counters and the car rentals. And we've taken the seating and put them 6 feet apart and roped off the other ones that are not so everybody is at least 6 feet apart. We have sanitizing stations all over the airport. The airport restaurant has reopened on a limited basis to support the airlines that are going out now. We had a pre-bid meeting held for runway repaving project on May 12th. The bid openings are on May 21st. Josh was the apparent low bidder for the airport fire vehicle replacement project. The airport director is working with the FAA to finalize contract awards for that. On a good note, I have been at the airport a few times in the last 2 weeks for meetings with possible tenants to rent some buildings, and they have a report for the airport committee to decide what they want to do in the very near future. But we have some things that are looking up there. So that's the end of the report, and cross your fingers that we can get these buildings ready.
Chairman Hall, I just checked with Rodney. I believe the local share associated with that fire vehicle project. Now that will be fully covered by the FAA money that we received, from the federal legislation. So that was good of news. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, Public Safety, Legislator Count.
Public Safety Committee was polled on resolutions number 307 through 313. Eric Day, the Director of Emergency Services, has provided all the legislators with a digital copy of the Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan, which will be approved via resolution number 308 on today's agenda. I personally am hoping that we will be meeting in person very shortly. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you. Transportation, Legislator Miguel.
Mr. Chairman, this time the highway crews are working on sweeping and cleaning up the winter season. In the next few weeks, they will be transitioning to preparing roads for paving, which entails replacing culverts, cutting shoulders, milling existing asphalt. Roadside mowing will also begin. Luck Brothers, Inc., the county contractor for the replacement of the Harney Bridge Road bridge at Scholar Falls, between Scholar Falls and Plattsburgh, and the Tappan Road Morris Bridge, and the removal of the Kent Falls Road Bridge, that's between Plattsburgh and Scholar Falls, has started work on each site. And both the Tappan Road and the Harney Bridge Road have been closed. The Transportation Committee was polled on resolutions 314 through 316, and that ends the report.
Thank you very much, sir. Liaison reports. I know there have been meetings out there, but we'll run through those quickly. The Board of Health, John Canoza already brought us up to date on pretty much all that's going on there. The next Board of Health meeting will be Monday, the 18th at 7 p.m. Chamber of Commerce, Legislator Rosenquist, no report?
I have no report.
Okay. Also, Chris, Clinton Community College.
I have no report.
Okay. Legislator Conroy, Community Services Board.
No report.
Okay. Legislator Timmons, Cooperative Extension.
We have not met since this all started, but we are going to be doing a Zoom meeting next week.
All right, thank you. Discipline Review, no report. Grievance Committee, also no report. Intercounty, Legislator Waldron.
No report.
Thank you. LCLG, Legislator Waldron.
No report.
Soil and Water, either Legislator Perrier or Timmons.
No report.
Thank you. Workforce Development Board, Legislator Rosenquist.
Yes, Legislator Henry and the rest of the committee here. As you all saw last week, there was a gap. I think it was like 1 or 2 days. Mike, you can correct me. 1 or 2 day gap in funding for the Workforce Development Board. It was federal funds that was being held up at the state. Those funds were since released, and they were back in business in very short order. But just wanted to give you all a heads up that from the reports that I'm reading, we're looking at a 20+% unemployment rate in Clinton County, and having the workforce or one workforce in the Workforce Development Board running at full tilt is going to be necessary for economic recovery. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was thank you, Chris. That was very difficult news when Sylvie called me. I will say that the entire team, including Chris Rosenquist, Chairman Henry, Billy Jones, Betty Little, and everybody else involved, had a very quick response to that bad news. And so for the North Country region, although that same dynamic was happening statewide, so there was a considerable amount of political pressure placed on the Division of Budget. And I think once the division understood that this is not the time to be cutting any services to assist the unemployed, they quickly changed course. So it was a bad story that turned into a good story and showed the efficacy of influence on an idea. So very good.
Thank you. Will staff have members have any report? Ms. Keller?
No, I don't have any.
Report from you, Mr. Zerlo.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I want to bring the board up to speed on a couple of things. You heard Legislator Timmons talk about the latest sales tax report that remained positive, and that was a good thing. We did receive a sales tax draw since that report, and just like everything statewide, ours was down. Ours was down approximately 22.5%. $781,000 countywide, a little less. That was a gross number that we share with our municipalities. So we are now seeing the beginnings of what a sales tax number could look like. NISAC has given several variations about what a mild result would be, a mid result, and a severe result. These numbers on that first sales tax draw lean more towards the severe result. I'm not that smart. My team here in the office has done a breakdown of what that would look like for the county. So if that severe number continues through the end of the year, it would result in a $9.2 million reduction to the county, a $12.5 million gross reduction, but to our coffers, $9.2 million. So that just provides you with a little insight as to some of the things we're dealing with. Obviously, we're hoping that doesn't last, and we end up in a medium or mild reduction scenario. But I just wanted to let you folks know about that. Secondly, we have not yet heard from the state of New York on their first round of state aid reduction. That's normally news that the state would like to provide on a Friday afternoon at 4 p.m. So that's when we think it may happen. Since we've received no word from the federal government yet, and I can speak to that next, we're expecting that first draw, clawback to be on the very high end, depending on what they take out of it. But we are looking anywhere from 20 to 50% reduction in state aid. That first period, as a reminder, will be for the months of May and June, and then they'll look at the fiscal plan 2 more times before they change their state aid clawback. So the first one's probably going to be some very poor news. What we're hoping for, obviously, is some federal assistance. Like I said, federal assistance would do two things. State and local direct aid assistance would do two things. It would help us on that sales tax number that I previously outlined, but it would also help the state of New York, which would enhance their fiscal position, which would result in less of a clawback of state aid to county government. So, should something happen on the federal level, it would be a certainly good news on a couple of fronts for the county. We do have departments who are actively working. They're working hard, essential services, and a few revenue-generating departments. These numbers, ironically, could be worse, but we do have teams in place to try to generate as much fee income in this strange environment. With respect to the federal government, you might have read that the House of Representatives is currently working on a piece of legislation titled the HEROES Act. That is an 18-page, $3 trillion piece of legislation. If that passed, it would be a very happy day, because that's a very rich in state and local governments are taking care of pretty good, to the tune of, the county governments have received $187 billion nationally, which would certainly help our situation. I don't want to get your hopes up. That bill will not pass. That is the Democratic majority in the House of Representatives' first salvo in the negotiating process. The executive has gone silent on his desire to pass a fourth piece or fifth piece actually of COVID stimulus legislation. The Senate, obviously, there are people on both sides of the issue. My sense is that something will be done. Everybody realizes that whatever gets done should include direct aid to state and local governments. At what level, I don't know. I will tell you it will be less than what's currently on the table. But we are, our positions are staked out. The Association of Counties, as well as the National Association of Counties, has done a very good job. We have a resolution, a last resolution on the evening, to continue to push for this type of legislation. But keep your fingers crossed, because we will need federal assistance, to provide us a way to navigate, getting out of the fiscal crisis, caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. So, and the last thing I have, Chairman, I know that was all fantastic news. The last thing I have is I am going to request a short executive session this evening to discuss a matter of potential litigation that we could potentially be the plaintiff on, so it's not that bad. So I know Ms. Kelleher will like to go over that with you at the conclusion of our regular business. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I'd just like to bring you up to date on where we're at on reopening, the regional reopening. As you know, I'm a member of the Regional Control Board, as Michael is in on all those meetings as well. I'm sure you saw today that this region, our 7 counties, went green on all our metrics. We've been working on that for a number of weeks, as I'm sure you know. We've been confident the last few days that we would make it, but you never know until you know. So today the dashboard went green. I encourage you all, if you don't know about that, to go to New York Forward and look at that dashboard. It will give you all the statistics that you need. They're going to have it broken down by county. I'm not sure that they do that, but at some point they shall. There's also a lot of other information on New York Forward that you can get, frequently answered questions, phases, phase 1 through phase 4, what businesses are in those phases. there is a lot of information on there. Go ahead.
Sure. You as legislators are probably going to receive a whole bunch of calls of when and why. What I would suggest to you is certainly you review the information and the guidance on New York Forward, and then potentially direct your constituency to that. That information has grown considerably and continues to grow, but there still are a lot of unknowns. I will tell you that right off the bat. Every question is not easily answered, but there continues to be new guidance, and I don't want to steal Mr. Henry's thunder, or maybe I was not listening, but it's on the 16th of May. We need to understand that the 16th of May is the commencement of the Phase 1 opening. That is not a green light to 3 months ago. That is the beginning of our process, reopening process that is governed by executive order and state guidance. So, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Mike. You're exactly right. Also, in regard to New York Forward, your businesses, should businesses call you and ask what they need to do? There's a few resources out there. One of them, again, on New York Forward, there's going to be a website where businesses can go. There will be a template there where a business will print out that template. They can fill in the appropriate blanks. It will provide them with a plan that they need to open their business. As you know, Phase 1 basically is construction, manufacturing, and agriculture. There's some other things in there I don't have in front of me right now. But anyways, you go online, you get the template, you make that plan for your business, your particular business. You then post that plan. You don't have to send it in. It doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't get approved. You just post it for public viewing. Should anybody wander in and want to see it, or the health department or an enforcement agency, you should have that plan posted. Then you go back online and you certify that you have a plan and is posted. And that's pretty much it for that, for what the business has to do. Now, you have still all the public safety, public health issues, the masks, 6 feet apart, all of the things that the business would be required to do. There are also, the North Country Chamber of Commerce has done an awesome job on educating businesses, and they had a webinar today, I think it was. They had like 800 people on that webinar, providing them answers for opening and the businesses. I encourage folks to check in on the Chamber of Commerce website. A lot of good information there, and the health department as well. They would have specific information regarding the public health issues, 6 feet apart, things like that, wearing a mask, the protocols you need to take. So we were very pleased today that we hit our metrics. The last one was testing. Don't forget, we had to hit 6 other metrics before we got there, so that this has been a long time coming. A lot of that credit goes to the public. Wearing their masks, doing what they were supposed to do. That kept hospitalizations low. That kept
ICU.
Thank you. All of the metrics that we hit are thanks to the efforts by the public. We also had tremendous help from CVPH, from our health department. Just a lot of folks that were working hard to ensure that we did this. Office of Emergency Services were key to a lot of this, especially now that we're going to ramp up into more testing. So,
and that was for that same dynamic was apparent throughout the entire North Country region.
Yes.
Just as a reminder, it wasn't just the county meeting those 7 metrics, it was the entire North Country region meeting those 7 metrics.
That's right, and that's the other thing with the businesses. It's not just about Clinton County. It has to be the entire region. So we want to make sure that we hit this as a region, because if several counties don't hit it, but say Clinton did, then we're all going to close down. So we don't get to pick county by county. We've all got to march forward together. If you have any specific questions, I'd be happy to answer them. The control room, we still meet, obviously. We meet every day about 2 o'clock. We're on a call. We were on today. We expect to be on that call every day going forward. We are going to monitor now on all of the data, all the metrics that come in. Should we get a spike somewhere, then we will have the ability to close the valve down, pause, stop a business, stop a cadre of business. So we don't, so this doesn't get out of hand.
One thing I would offer is legislators, you are probably questions that are not easily, the answers of which will not be easily found. So if there is a specific question, you could convey that to Mr. Henry. Mr. Henry can then throw that to the control room group, and hopefully we can get an answer that is consistent and consistently disseminated throughout the entire region. So I think he's willing to act as a repository for your questions that he hopefully can get answers to.
I didn't know I was going to do that. I appreciate that. Yes, I will. Michael's exactly right. We will help any way we can. There's some of these questions we're just going to have to go to the state. I mean, we just don't have the answers. And I took one today on golf carts. I mean, some of the questions it just will not have the answer to. And I don't mind trying to find out. But as everybody keeps saying, we're kind of building the airplane as it's flying. So, but we made good progress. Looking forward to opening up. We just have to key on safely. Do it safely. Do it safely. That's it for me. Unless somebody's got.
I apologize. I gave you a lot of bad news in my report. I failed to tell you that you guys have authorized obviously a couple of human capital programs, as well as authorized me to send memos to departments on controlling expenses. We are estimating that those decisions could result by year's end a savings approaching $4 million. So I just want you to know that my team here, Kim has done most of the work, but my team and the department heads who are listening to the message, we are hoping to claw back about $4 million through decisions that you folks allowed us to put into action. Well, thank you.
All right.
I got a question on the convenience stations. Any reason why they won't all be open this Saturday?
My understanding is that all convenience stations will be open this Saturday as they were pre-COVID.
Thank you. I'll pass that along to everybody. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. We'll move along to the resolutions. Before voting on the resolutions, I want to note that the majority of the resolutions have been thoroughly discussed by the appropriate committees. And the legislature is taking action tonight on the recommendation of those committees. Go ahead. Somebody's not on mute.
Somebody is not on mute.
Thank you. Somebody.
The other thing I want to mention is for our farmers,
I can hear TV.
Ms. Waldron, are you on mute?
I'm not watching TV. I can trust you. I don't believe the noise is me.
Okay. All right.
My crack IT staff has determined that the culprit is Mr. Perrier.
Thank you.
Do we have a sergeant at arms?
Well, I guess we'll take care of that problem. I got off of mute because we're going to work.
Well, we are going to work. Okay, resolutions.
Yes, sir. Resolution 282, appointing appointing Deputy County Administrator, Legislature.
Mr. Hall, Mr. Perrier, 5-5?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, discussion.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, this is obviously a bittersweet resolution for me. You know, the fact that Ms. Kim Bloom is joining my team, I'm extremely excited about. I've extolled her virtues on several occasions now. But, you know, her taking that job is only because the county is losing probably its best employee in Mr. Brown, including the person talking right now. This gentleman has given his life to this county for over 30 years. This is his penultimate meeting. I'm sure there'll be some kind words 2 weeks from now. But you know, he's just a superstar, and he's going to be missed here. That being said, this resolution is appointing not a superstar yet, the rising star, and Kim is going to just be an absolute joy to work with, and you know, she has got some talents that will certainly continue to move this county forward. So, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Did I hear opposed? No opposed, right? Okay.
Resolution 283.
Wait a minute. Carried. Thank you.
Resolution. It's good to get that pattern.
I can't do it without it.
Resolution 283, appointing Deputy Clerk of the Board for the years 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023.
Again, Mr. Hall and Mr. Perrier, 5-5.
Yes. Yes.
So this resolution, Chairman, is normally done, as everybody knows, at the organizational meeting. And the title of Deputy Clerk of the Board rests with the Deputy County Administrator. So this appoints Ms. Kimblum to that position as well, so she can come and transact business at every one of our legislative meetings.
Excellent. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, Kim's here, and Chairman, Ms. Kim Bloom is here and would like to make a few remarks.
As soon as we vote her in.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried. Ms. Kimball.
Yeah, I just want to say, I'm truly honored for this opportunity for the appointment of Deputy County Administrator, and serving in this capacity in the community that I grew up in, that I live in, that I raised my children in. I appreciate the support of the board for this appointment, and I'll continue to help serve and assist in implementing the board's strategic decisions and vision in this community. It'll be a difficult role filling Rodney's shoes, but I promise to work hard for you and for the community. And I thank Mike and Rodney for really their leadership and support this last 6 years since I've been working for the county. They've really been great mentors for me. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
It's nice to hear you'll be helping us as opposed to Michael.
Resolution 284, authorizing lease agreement with the North Country Workforce Partnership Social Services.
Motion, Mr. Potiker. Second, Mr. Hall. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 285, authorizing Redlick Horwitz Foundation COVID-19 Rapid Response Grant application and acceptance, social services.
Motion, Legislator Potiker. Second, Legislator Rosenquist. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 286, authorizing payment of membership dues, employment, and training.
Motion, Legislator Potiker. Second, Legislator Waldron. Discussion.
Just to piggyback on Mr. Rosenquist's previous comments, You will note that some of that WIOA workforce money pays for these, so it's no cost to the county. Had we not got that grant, this resolution, or release of those funds, this resolution might have not seen the light of day. Roll call. Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried. Resolution 287, authorizing contract with Carpenter Brothers Moving and Storage Company, Board of Elections.
Motion legislator Rosenquist, second legislator Castine. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried. Resolution number 288, authorizing contract with Dominion Voting Systems Corporation, Board of Elections.
Motion legislator Rosenquist, second legislator Perrier. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Resolution number 289, authorizing contract with NTS Data Services LLC, Board of Elections.
Motion legislator Rosenquist, second legislator Potiker. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Resolution number 290, authorizing coronavirus aid, relief, and economic security act, grant application and acceptance, Board of Elections.
Motion legislator Rosenquist, second legislator Waldron. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried. Resolution number 291, awarding request for qualifications for design and construction administration under the local waterfront revitalization program grant planning department.
Motion legislator Rosenquist, second legislator Castine. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Resolution number 292, authorizing emergency preparedness grant application and acceptance, Health Department.
Motion legislator Waldron, second legislator Conroy. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried. Resolution 293, authorizing contracts with various preschool-related contractors, Health Department.
Motion legislator Waldron, second legislator Rosenquist. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 294, authorizing various preschool tuition contracts, Health Department.
Motion legislator Waldron, second legislator Conroy. Discussion.
I would just like to remind the board that this resolution and the previous resolution are state-mandated programs.
Thank you. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Thank you.
Resolution 295, authorizing contract amendment with SW Healthcare Solutions, Health Department.
Motion legislator Waldron, second legislator Rosenquist. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hall.
Yes.
Thank you.
Resolution 296, authorizing Adirondack Health Institute Charles R. Wood Foundation telehealth project funding grant application and acceptance, mental health and addiction.
Motion legislator Waldron, second legislator Conroy. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 297, authorizing Families First Coronavirus Response Act grant application and acceptance, Office for the Aging.
Motion legislator Conroy, second legislator Castine. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried. Resolution 298, amending Resolution 889 dated November 13, 2019, titled Authorizing Various Contracts for the Year 2020, Office for the Aging.
Motion, Legislator Conroy. Second, Legislator Castine. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Resolution 299, authorizing coronavirus aid, relief, and economic security act application and acceptance. Office for the Aging.
Motion, Legislator Conroy. Second, Legislator Perrier. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 300, approving reclassification of a senior WIC nutritionist position down to a project counselor WIC position with backfill health department.
Motion, Legislator Castine. Second, Legislator Hall. Discussion. You say yes?
All in favor, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Carried.
Resolution 301, approving backfill of a permanent full-time grade B case supervisor position, social services.
Motion, Legislator Hall. Second, Legislator Rosenquist. Discussion.
I think it's worth noting, Chairman, that there are two grade B supervisors, and it is the director's decision to not backfill one of those. So, although this is an expense to the county, the backfill of this resolution, it'll be a backfill of one of two of these positions going forward.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 302, approving backfill of permanent part-time registered professional nurse, Sheriff's Department.
Motion, Legislator Rosenquist. Second, Legislator Timmons. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 303, approving backfill of permanent full-time licensed practical nurse, nursing home.
Motion, Legislator Timmons. Second, Legislator Castine. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 304, approving replacement of a permanent part-time transfer station operator with a permanent full-time transfer station operator, solid waste.
Motion, Legislator Hall. Second, Legislator Rosenquist. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 305, approving backfill of permanent full-time laborer position, solid waste.
Motion, Legislator Timmons. Second, Legislator Castine. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 306, approving replacement of a temporary on-call part-time station attendant position with a permanent part-time station attendant position, solid waste.
Motion, Legislator Castine. Second, Legislator Hall. Discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to point out, just to remind the board that resolutions 304, 305, and 306, those resolutions are at no cost to the county and covered by New England Waste.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 307, authorizing fiscal year 2020 State Homeland Security Program grant application and acceptance, emergency services.
Motion, Legislator Castine. Second, Legislator Hall. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 308, adopting the Clinton County Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan, emergency services.
Motion, Legislator Castine. Second, Legislator Potiker. Discussion.
Mr. Chairman, we do have the director here. I don't know, Eric, is there anything specific on this emergency plan, why it's needed?
The plan is required by the state. It's a
check box on it. We've got every grant we apply for, so we need to keep the plan up to date, renewed, maintained. It's a renewal of an existing plan that's been a long time coming. So it's good moving forward, and we've actually already put some of the guidance to this plan on the COVID.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 309, authorizing contract with Post-Residential Placement Program Probation Department.
Motion, Legislator Castine, second. Legislator Timmons. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Resolution 310, authorizing contract with New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services. 2020 and 2021 probation state aid block grant funding and program plan probation.
Motion, Legislator Castine, second. Legislator Timmons. Discussion.
Just to point out, this is the state funding stream that funds the state share of the probation department. That contract amount that's in parentheses estimated is most likely going to fall prey to state aid clawbacks, and as such, the county cost will most likely rise. Just as a point of reference, I believe, I know when Rodney started working here, but I believe when I started working here, state aid reimbursement, that ratio was in excess of 45%. This ratio, as it currently exists, is about 12.7%. And if by the time we get through this current crisis, it'll be less than that. The hope, obviously, is that some of these state aid clawbacks don't become permanent in nature. But that is always a scary thing. Once there's a realization that the decision was made, it's easier to continue that clawback into perpetuity. But at this point, that's how much it's going to cost to run the probation department within Clinton County.
Thank you. Roll call.
Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Resolution 311, authorizing community-based traffic safety program grant application and acceptance, Sheriff's Department.
Motion, Legislator Castine, second. Legislator Potiker. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Great. Resolution 312, authorizing child passenger safety program grant application and acceptance, Sheriff's Department.
Motion, Legislator Castine, second. Legislator Hall. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 313, authorizing police traffic services grant application and acceptance, Sheriff's Department.
Motion, Legislator Castine, second. Legislator Potiker. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Mr. Perrier.
Yeah.
Mr. Perrier, looking for your roll call vote?
Did we lose him, David?
That will be in recording right now.
Okay. So,
Mr. Hall?
Mr. Tim, maybe
Yes.
Mr. Timmons, for the
Yeah.
Republicans.
Mr. Timmons?
Yes.
Okay. We get a yes from Bobby?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yes.
Carried. Thank you.
Resolution 314, authorizing the implementation and funding in the first instance, 100% of the federal aid and state aid Marchicelli program aid eligible cost of a transportation federal aid project and appropriating funds therefore. County Route 1 Standish Road Bridge over Separator Brook, bridge identification number 336-3270, highway.
Motion, Legislator Miguel. Second, Legislator Conroy. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier.
Mr. Timmons.
Mr. Timmons.
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Hall.
Yes.
Francis, are you back with us? Okay. Resolution 315, authorizing implementation and funding in the first instance. 100% of the federal aid and state Marchicelli program aid eligible costs of a transportation federal aid project and appropriating funds therefore. Remove bridge identification number 3335790, carrying Kent Falls Road over the Saranac River, highway.
Motion, Mr. McGill. Second, Mr. Potiker. Discussion.
Mr. Timmons?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Resolution 316, authorizing an engineering services agreement with Barton and Lejudas DPC for the replacement of the True Brook Road Bridge over the True Brook. Bridge identification number 3358320, highway.
Not on you.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay, there you go.
Mr. Perrier?
Yeah.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
That was a motion by Mr. McGill and Mr. Potiker. Thank you. Go ahead.
Resolution 317, authorizing the county treasurer to establish appropriation and corresponding revenue for the state municipal facilities program grant emergency services.
Motion. Legislator Castine. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carries.
Resolution 318, authorizing to establish appropriation and corresponding revenue for the 2019 statewide interoperable communications grant emergency services.
Motion, Legislator Timmons. Second, Legislator McGill. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carries.
Resolution 319, authorizing the county treasurer to increase appropriation and corresponding revenue for the Early Intervention Administration Grant Health Department.
Motion, Legislator Timmons. Second, Legislator Hall. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Resolution 320, authorizing the county treasurer to establish appropriation and corresponding revenue for the 2020 Telehealth Project Funding Grant Health Department.
Motion, Legislator Timmons. Second, Legislator Perrier. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Resolution 321, authorizing the county treasurer to increase appropriation and corresponding revenue for insurance reimbursement sheriff's department.
Motion, Legislator Timmons. Second, Legislator Hall. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 322, authorizing the county treasurer to reappropriate 2019 funds, various accounts, treasurer's office.
Motion, Legislator Timmons. Second, Legislator Potiker. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Resolution 323, authorizing the county treasurer to establish appropriation and corresponding revenue for the Youth Scholarship Grant Youth Bureau.
Motion, Legislator Timmons. Second, Legislator Rosenquist. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried. We have a motion to waive Rule 13.2. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion by Legislator Rosenquist, a second by, I believe, Calvin. Okay, Rick Potiker. Got a second by Legislator Potiker. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Carried. Resolution 324, calling on the congressional delegation to provide counties with direct federal aid to support counties' COVID-19 response and reopening economic activity efforts. Legislature.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll take that back. I'd like to, Michael's right. Could we have this 5-5, please, just for all Mr. Barrier?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall? Wait.
Yes.
5-5.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Sorry, I thought we were doing that 5-5.
Good, we still need to vote.
We absolutely should have been all in favor. That's my.
Oh, that's right. You're right.
You're right again, Chris. You know, you just should put me in charge finally, and we wouldn't have to go through all that.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. Does anybody have anything else further to come before the legislature? If not, I'd like to entertain a motion to enter into executive session to discuss
The matter of litigation.
matter of litigation. You got to have a motion.
So moved.
Have a second. Okay, I got a motion by Chris and a second by somebody.
Robbie.
Rob. Okay, by Robbie. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Opposed? We're good. In favor?
Aye. Okay, now.
Opposed?
I got it with the eyes.
Okay, we're out of executive session. And if there's nothing further, I will entertain.
Chairman, let's go live first so the.
Oh, yeah, okay, thank you. Dave, wait a minute.
Oh, baby. How was your walkout today?
Hey, Mike.
Yes, sir. All right, back in.
Mike,
Yes, sir.
do you have any, I guess it's a guess, and we'll be back into, regular meetings?
My sense is now, committee chairman, two things. The standing committees have been canceled. If committee chairman, the chairman has instructed me that if the committee chairmans would like to schedule meetings like this for their committee meetings, we can certainly entertain that. I just need to know because there is a process to get that done. With respect to formal meetings, we are still under the restriction that prohibits gatherings of 10 or more people in a particular place. So I was reading a listserv today from my colleagues. It looks as though people are starting to have those discussions. But to answer your question, I would say mid-June before, especially since the pause order, the current pause order, goes till June 7th, I believe. So probably mid-June would be my best guess. Although if committee chairman wanted to have
Make sure I didn't miss.
committee meetings electronically, we certainly can facilitate that. Mike, thanks for that question, Robert. The question that Mike, I have another question because I've asked some of the people on my committee to have a call tomorrow. It is informal in the sense of wanting to have a conversation about legislation that I'd like to introduce through the committee. So should I have that? Through the county Zoom or hold on. Yeah, so Mr. Rosenquist, if your committee is actually going to convene, I believe the public officers law requires us to notice the Press Republican or the community, and then we would do that via via a WebEx meeting like this. But if there is a quorum present at that meeting, it will require a public notice. Okay, thank you for that. Economic Development County meeting operations. I'll sort that out and reach back out to you all. Thank you.
Okay, anything further? Any other questions?
Question for Chris. Are you gonna have that through Zoom or are you gonna have it through WebEx like we are now?
What the sound of it, what Mike just said, the sound of it is I should go through those channels, and I just wasn't aware, to be quite frank. So I'll just go through those channels to coordinate through Mike, and then we'll find another time, likely next week, to have that.
We certainly have the ability to facilitate a meeting via Zoom, but my sense is that the legislators are somewhat getting comfortable with the WebEx environment. So my suggestion would be to continue with WebEx, although we do have the capacity to do a Zoom meeting as well.
Well, personally, I like WebEx.
Yeah, I'm not tied to either one, and if the county can facilitate that, I'll coordinate that with Michael in his office to coordinate that meeting and then get an invitation out as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, excellent. Anything further?
Right.
I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Move.
Motion.
So
I have a
moved.
motion by
Second.
I have a second by
Second.
Chris.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Opposed? Someday I'm gonna vote. No. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Have a good